guys, what's going on? It is Ash here coming at you today in Clash Royale, another list video for you guys. Today we're going to rank all 17 legendary cards inside Clash Royale, but I'm throwing a curveball at you guys. We're going to rank them by the skill required to play the card, starting with 17, going all the way to number 1. So we have a lot to get to. Let's go ahead and jump into the list. Coming in at number 17 is the Inferno Dragon. Inferno Dragon is the lowest skill legendary card. After a lot of consideration on my part, I thought about it. In the Inferno Dragon, I mean, all you need to do is drop it at the appropriate time. Make sure you're not using it when you need it for something else, when you need it for your opponent's tank. But that's really about it. Maybe if you get lucky and it locks onto your opponent's tower, you can drop that timely freeze or zap to kind of stall and take the tower. But really, that's about it with Inferno Dragon. It's a very simple card, especially considering it's a legendary. It's essentially just a flying Inferno tower with maybe a little bit more mobility. So that's why we have the Inferno Tower as the lowest skill cap card out of all the legendaries inside the game. Coming in at 16 was a real tough one. It is Sparky. Now, I love Sparky. Sparky's actually my favorite legendary card in the game, but let's face it, not a ton of skill required to play Sparky. You drop her off and you let her do her thing, right? Really, Sparky is automated. You put her down in the arena and there's nothing to worry about. You don't even really have to support her much. All you have to be worried about is your opponent's zap or their lightning or rocket, and that's about it. You just drop her to counter their tank and usually get a counter push out of your Sparky. But Sparky, although one of the most unique and interesting cards in the game, you can't tell me that she is a high skill cap card. That's why she comes in at number 16. At number 15, I originally had her a little bit lower, but it is the Lava Hound. Now, Lava Hound is thought of as a brainless card, but unlike Sparky and Inferno Dragon, you really need to support the Lava Hound appropriately, combine her with the correct spells, combine her with the correct offensive cards in response to whatever your opponent is playing. Sure, is she low skill? Yes, that's why she's at the bottom of this list, but I do not think that she is the lowest skill legendary card in the game. That's why she makes the list at number 15. Number 14 is the Night Witch. She is the quintessential support card. You drop her behind a tank, she spawns the bats, and that's about it, right? I mean, what are you doing that's a high skill? When's the last time you saw someone make a high skill play with the Night Witch? Whoa, Night Witch skill play. You don't really hear those two phrases together too often. There's not much you can do, again, with the Night Witch in terms of high skill maneuvers, high skill tactics. It's just a card that you drop behind those low skill golems, and that's why she makes the list at number 14. Coming in at number 13 is the big fella, the Mega Knight. So the Mega Knight, unlike the other cards we talked about today, is a little bit, I think, a notch in the higher skill, but not high skill direction compared to those other cards, because he actually has the very compelling enter the arena ability, the very compelling and powerful enter the arena ability, where he squashes everything that he lands on. After that, it's all about supporting him and taking advantage of his splash damage. Now, why is he a little bit higher skill than the other cards we mentioned? I know there's a lot of Mega Knight haters out there. I mean, let's face it, you need to make sure you're getting value. He's not usually a card that you want to be cycling behind your King Tower. You want to make sure you're placing him at the correct opportunities to make sure you take advantage of his enter the arena ability. Sure, there's not a ton of skill involved, but there's more skill than dropping an Inferno Dragon on top of the tank, and that's it, at least in my opinion. Anyway, that's why he makes the list at number 13. Coming in at number 12 is the Lumberjack. Lumberjack's one of those cards that, sure, again, not a ton of skill required to drop down that Lumberjack and chop down their tank, but to get the true total capabilities, the total potential of the Lumberjack unharnessed, you need to go ahead and make sure you take advantage of that rage ability. So when you use him on defense, it's all about making sure your win condition is in your hand to take advantage of that rage ability. Usually a balloon or a hog rider or whatever, but taking advantage of his death rage is something that does require a little bit of skill, because you have to know what your opponent has in hand, know it's the right time to attack with your Lumberjack, and then make sure you have enough Elixir and, of course, your win condition in hand to use it in some scenarios. So that's why the Lumberjack just edges out the Mega Knight at number 12. At number 11 is the Royal Ghost. Royal Ghost packs a big punch for 3 Elixir. He does splash damage, he goes invisible. My man, I mean, he does a lot. Splash damage, invisibility, a lot of HP, and a decent amount of damage as well. He can get to the opponent's tower with just a sliver of health, unlike pretty much any card in the game. So, the Royal Ghost requires a little bit of skill because for 3 Elixir, and you're gonna see these cheaper cards generally in a vacuum require more skill than these big, lumbering, expensive cards inside the game. There's a lot of versatility in the Royal Ghost. You can often get value, but you have to have your timing correct. You know, you ever use like a Royal Ghost against a Goblin Gang, and he totally misses the Goblin Gang because you placed him a little bit too late? Timing is important with Royal Ghost, and knowing when to cycle him at the bridge to put pressure to the opponent, preferably when they don't have Tornado or easy counters in hand. So knowing your opponent's positioning inside the match, knowing what cards your opponent has, and knowing when the appropriate time and having the appropriate timing all comes into play when you're using the Royal Ghost. That's why he comes in at number 11. Number 10 was originally the card that I had at number 17, but I took a lot of thought. I slept on this one, and I thought the log deserves better. The log is simple. You drop it down, you kill the swarmy troops. That's it, right? But you know, I think the biggest skill element of the log is knowing when not to use the log and knowing how to capture all the value you can for 2 Elixir. That's why there's a whole archetype just on how to beat the log, a la log bait. So there's a log bait to bait out your log, meaning that an entire deck archetype relies on you misusing your log. So in order to go ahead and use your log skillfully, you need to use it at the appropriate time, knowing you have another counter to their goblin barrel, so I'm going to use my log right now, or knowing that I just can't afford to take this damage, or I can afford to take this damage. There's a lot of kind of maybe minutia that goes into when and where to play your log, especially against an opponent who wants you to use it at a bad time in the match. Their whole objective is to get you to use a log when you shouldn't be. So that's why the log, upon further review, comes in at number 10 on the list. Number 9 is the Ice Wizard. Ice Wizard usually combined with other cards such as Tornado to get the maximum effect. Ice Wizard is a pretty basic card at face value, although another cheaper card at 3 Elixir. You want to make sure you're using Ice Wizard in the appropriate positioning, which is huge, keeping him alive, which is huge, and maximizing all the defensive value you can get out of this 3 Elixir very unique card, a card that targets air that also slows your opponent's troop. I think the Ice Wizard really is the middle of the pack in terms of skill. It's not looked at and thought of as, oh, that's the highest skill card in the game, but usually the decks that he's played in, the synergies that you need to master in order to master the Ice Wizard, well, they are generally of the higher skill kind of genre. So that's why Ice Wizard, middle of the pack, comes in at number 9. Number 8 is the E-Wiz. So the Ice Wiz's brother, the E-Wiz, comes in at number 8, and the reason being is the enter the arena ability, making sure that you maximize value there, of course, and making sure that you're not using the Ice Wizard just haphazardly against a troop that you know can one-shot it. You don't want to counter a hunter with an Ice Wizard. And more importantly, you have to take advantage of the enter the arena reset ability against cards like Sparky and Inferno Dragon, and make sure the placement is just correct, because obviously the E-Wiz can only hit 2 targets at once. So if you're going against a Sparky, you're going against an Inferno Dragon, Inferno Tower, your opponent is going to try to place it in such a way that the E-Wiz will not be able to counter it and protect your tanks or whatever you have in front of the E-Wiz. So a good E-Wiz player will know how to take advantage of that and still get his E-Wiz in the correct positioning or bait out a spell to make sure they have a huge elixir advantage and just overrun the opponent. So E-Wiz, it's one of those cards, again, like we talked about with some of the other cards, is the timing and making sure you have it in your hand when you need him is very important for the E-Wiz. That's why he comes in at number 8. Coming in at number 7 is the Ram Rider. Ram Rider is one of my favorite legendary cards in the game, definitely top 3. I'm not sure. Maybe 2, maybe 3. Either way, Ram Rider, super good card. The thing with Ram Rider is I know a lot of you are like, dude, Ash, you're crazy. You're crazy right now. What are you, drunk? No. It's true, because Ram Rider, a lot of people play it like Battle Ram. They just spam it at the bridge and hope it connects to the tower. But to really capture the skillful value of the Ram Rider, you have to get some value on it from on the defensive end as well. You can kite troops with it to the opposite lane, and all the meanwhile, she will be snaring the target, so having that kite timing is really important to make sure that snare doesn't, fail to kite the troop, and the troop gets snared and goes to the tower that you wanted it to kite away from. Now, on top of that, you want to go ahead and get the true defensive value of the Ram Rider when you're using her snare ability on defense first against a Hog Rider or denying a balloon even getting 1 hit on your tower, and then the opponent still has to respond to that 5 elixir firepower that is the Ram Rider. Also on offense, combining the Ram Rider with Snowball at the appropriate time opens the door for a lot of prediction plays. Your opponent has that minion horde, hey, boom, Snowball, Ram Rider, minion horde, bye-bye, Ram Rider on the tower. It's a really unique and fun card. It's one of my favorite cards. It's a card we don't talk about enough here on the channel, but I truly believe Ram Rider is a card that is a little bit underrated in terms of both her power and the skill required to capture her full potential. That's why she comes in on the list at number 7. Coming in at number 6 is the Bandit, another 3 elixir legendary card. Now the Bandit is another one of those cards that some of you might be saying, dude, you just dropped the Bandit at the bridge. What's the big deal in that? But really taking in full advantage of her dash ability to counter a Prince, to counter even a Sparky blow is really important in a lot of matchups with the Bandit. And using that Bandit and saving that Bandit for those circumstances is definitely a strategic move that players don't always recognize inside their matches. I think that the Bandit is one of those cards that even on offense, you can really chain her dash and help her get to the tower, destroying tons of elixir on her way. You ever like chain dash a bandit from a princess to a dark goblin to the tower? It can be an incredibly lucrative play in terms of a positive elixir exchange. The Bandit is one of my favorite cards in the game. She doesn't require the most skill to play, but another cheap card with a ton of versatility, especially on the defensive end. She comes in at number 6 on the list. Moving into the top 5, we're going to go to the Princess. The Princess is another 3 elixir legendary card, which again at face value, okay, what's the big deal? She's on autopilot, but the Princess is all about timing and placement and protection. Timing, placement, protection with the Princess. Timing, you need to know when to play your Princess at the bridge, get that extra chip value, or put your opponent in a very awkward situation when they don't have an adequate response to the Princess without having to spend a lot of elixir in a lane maybe they don't even want to go into, right? They don't want the counterattack opportunity in the lane where you drop the Princess. Princess is a super good card, and protecting her can give you immense value on the battlefield in the arena. So protecting your Princess is very important as well, and then having your Princess in hand when you need her against Swarm, stacking up your Princesses and making sure that your Princess's total capabilities are utilized in the arena at all times is super important. Princess is one of the most annoying cards to deal with if you don't have a great answer, so taking advantage of her, again, her full potential is really paramount to having success with her in the arena. That's why she comes in at number 5. Number 4 is actually Graveyard, a 5 elixir win condition in the game. Graveyard, in my opinion, does not always get the credit it's due in terms of a fairly high skill win condition. Graveyard, another one of those cards, is really knowing and identifying every single counter your opponent might have in their deck, and if they have poison, you have to be able to bait out the poison and work around it. Also, positioning and timing with the Graveyard is crucial to having success with it. A lot of players overcommit on their Graveyards. You could certainly make a case, and I might even buy one, that Graveyard should be top 3, if not the most skillful legendary card in the game. For me, I think there's others that just require a little bit more skill technically to play, but the Graveyard is one card that's super powerful, but a lot of players make a lot of mistakes, being over aggressive, not identifying their opponent's counters, and just playing it in a way that they're not going to have high success. They're not going to have high win rates with the Graveyard. So Graveyard's a really, really important card to point out the skill required by players who have a ton of success with it. Comes in at number 4. Coming in at number 3 is the newest legendary card, the Fisherman. The Fisherman is a super high skill card. You have to know when to use it, where to use it. Placement is really crucial with the Fisherman. Activating your King Tower is a move that's always been kind of synonymous with high skill, and the Fisherman can activate against splash troops such as Mega Knight, such as Valkyrie, such as Dark Prince, and of course building targeting troops such as Golem and Giant and Hog Rider. So there's a lot of opportunity, but it's not just that. You can also pull Royal Giants to the opposite side of the arena, and where you place that Fisherman can dictate whether you're going to get 1 hit or 3 hits on your tower. So again, precision placement, and we haven't even talked about the offensive side of the arena, guys. On offense, using your Fisherman as a predictive play to pull that Valkyrie out of the lane to protect your Witch is such an OP skill play, and you can also use it in combination with Sparky, in combination with Hunter, those heavy hitters, to pull those defensive troops at point blank range. Boom, bye-bye. Fisherman is a super solid card that also requires a high level of skill to get the true value from him. That's why he makes top 3 on our list. Coming in at number 2 is the Miner. Miner's always, for a long time, been considered the highest skill legendary card, or maybe the highest skill win condition in the game. And it's true. I mean, not just diversifying your placement with the Miner, but really using the Miner to pull off those incredible OP high skill plays, such as, oh, in a recent video, we saw somebody predict the location of a defensive troop with the Miner. It might have been a Hunter or a Witch, and then snowball to push it into the Miner afterwards. You can pull so many crazy plays. It was an Executioner. You can redirect a bowler, redirect an Executioner. You can predict locations of your opponent's troops utilizing that Miner and getting a ton of value in return. Not just that, but on the defensive end, a lot of people who play the Miner don't realize the defensive capabilities. It's like a mini Knight in terms of the HP that it has. So sometimes in Miner cycle decks and Miner based decks, you need to know that in some matchups, some specific matchups, you're going to have to be using your Miner on defense as a tank. So cycling your Miner on your side of the arena might seem like an unorthodox play to some, but you see pros and high skill players do it all the time, again, in specific matchups. Miner is certainly a card that anybody can pick up and play, just like all of these legendary cards, but only a few can really capture the full power of the card using all the high skill strategic plays that it has. So Miner comes in at number 2. Number 1 on the list is 4 Elixir Magic Archer. Certainly not the strongest legendary card in the game, but is definitely viable, and he's right on the cusp of being meta right now. Magic Archer is so high skill friendly, and I know there's been a debate recently, some people saying, wait, Magic Archer's not that high skill, but truly getting those tower connections with using geometry, if you will, on the offensive end is so important. I can't think of one card whose placement is as important to capture the full value than the Magic Archer. I've seen some incredible pro plays in CRL where the Magic Archer is angled just right, so it is doing tons of work on defense, killing support troops, or on offense, killing defensive troops of the opponent, and it's also hitting the tower, and sometimes the tower even falls because of that. I saw that a few times recently when Jack, I actually shared this in a video a few days ago, when Jack beat Expo Master in the CRL Asia World Finals. 2 times in that match, the Magic Archer got so much crazy incidental tower damage onto the Princess Towers because just precise placement by Jack. So Magic Archer's definitely definitely a card that, again, just like I just said, anybody can use, but only a select few, myself not included, can take full advantage of the Magic Archer. When used correctly, he can be one of the strongest offensive support cards inside the entire game, not to mention the defensive side of the arena as well. So guys, what do you think of my list? Did I get it right? Did I get it wrong? Let me know which card you had the biggest issue. I don't know what I'm asking for here. I'm asking for a lot of complaints in the comments, but what card did you have the biggest issue with my rankings? Let me know in the comments below, guys. Huge shout out to Clash Royale and to Bren Chong, my YouTube partners. Check out their information as well. Thank you for watching, and as always, take care, guys.